Alright, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Joe, and in today's video we're going to be talking about some things that I think everybody should consider before they decide to start selling cards. Now, whether you decide to start selling a high volume amount of cards or just a couple cards here and there out of your collection, I think a lot of this applies to both sides of the aisle. So if that sounds interesting or it just sounds like something you would want to listen to, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe here. Here on the channel I document a lot of different things that I have going on from week to week, whether that's deals that I made or just my sales or buying and selling Pokemon cards. So yeah, make sure you come back every single week just to see what I do have going on. So jumping right into it, one of the main things that I think people do, or I should say they overthink about before they decide to start selling cards, is they really think about if they should sell cards or not, and it kind of prevents them from selling cards, if that makes sense. One of the things you should just do a night's worth of research. And we'll get into some research you should be doing here in a second, but just do some research, understand if there is a market in your local area and what websites would be easiest for you to sell on, and just start selling. Whether you go and pick up some cards bulk or you start selling a couple here and there out of your collection, it's important to just get going, get your dip your toe in and get selling. So moving on to number two, I would say, is know the market. Know when rotation is, and what rotation is. If you don't know what that is, basically it's when the new set of legal playable cards in the Pokemon TCG get rotated in and the current ones that are legal get rotated out. And so you always want to make sure you're on top of that. There's a lot of websites and YouTube channels that are dedicated to going over that. On top of that, you want to know the best cards that are good for rotation, and you want to know new sets when they get released. What are the best cards that are coming out of those sets, whether they are chase cards or just competitive cards for the TCG. Don't be left holding the cards. Now, this is something that I got burned on a couple times with some Drizzile here in the last rotation. If a card is climbing high in value because of rotation and it's sought after for gameplay, it's good to buy and sell it, but understand when rotation changes, so this way you're not stuck holding 20, 30, 40 Drizziles and the card has lost 60, 70%. Once you lose 10, 15%, once the card, not you, loses 10, 15%, you should probably start dumping off if rotation is right around the corner. So that's up to you to decide exactly when you want to start liquidating your inventory, but always just understand when the times change and cards change out. So then one of the next things, number three, that I thought was super important in this list, that's why I put it as number three, was cash flow. What a lot of people don't understand is unless you're getting into just strictly buying chase cards, a lot of cards will sit. And even if you buy chase cards, I'm not saying the cards are going to move like overnight unless you price them competitively to sell, yada, yada, yada. A lot of like my business where I deal with a lot of bulk, it does sit for quite some time before you turn and make that 10, 20, 30x profit on it. So you want to always make sure you have cash flow, so if and when the deal becomes available. Like me personally, I can always make deals happen online for bulk, but ideally I would really like to make deals happen locally because I don't have to cover shipping and all that other jazz and risk them moving around in the boxes and getting all damaged on their way here. So ideally, I would like to make local deals happen, so I always like to make sure I have money on hand, so this way I can make a local deal happen if somebody responds to an ad or something like that that I have out and around the city. So always keep cash on hand. This kind of goes into knowing about rotation and whatnot, but always stay informed. The Pokemon, now I deal with Pokemon, but I guess this goes across the board, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, yada, yada, yada. Always stay informed in the current news and what is going on. And I don't just mean with Pokemon. You could be, like I said, new set releases and stuff like that, but just anything that affects the trading card business, whether it be new rules and regulations proposed by the IRS, or it be like shipping and stuff, prices going up. I know USPS just, I think a week or so ago, announced that they're going to raise shipping costs from stamps from 63 cents to 66 cents. And if you're somebody like me who does a lot of their volume on Tcgplayer, I do use a lot of stamps. So that directly affects me. I believe, if I remember correctly, when I was reading the news article, it said it was like a 5.7% increase or something like that. I don't know how accurate that is, but any increase is a decrease in my profit margins. So always want to make sure that you're pricing your cards not just competitively, but profitably, based on how the market moves and how your supply costs and stuff like that, to make the business happen changes. Moving on to number 5, packing orders. Now this is something that I drastically underestimated whenever I first started selling. If you really want to turn this into a business, now keep in mind, if you're just packing an order or so every day, or an order every couple days, and you're only selling a couple cards here and there, then it's something that pretty much I feel anybody can manage. But if you start getting to the point like I am, where you're doing 20, 30 orders a day, and on direct you're doing 50, 60 orders a day, then it starts to be a lot to manage. And that's actually, I kind of skipped ahead there to what I was going to touch on next. Once you start doing so much in orders, it starts, you start to ask the question, like I did, if Tcgplayer Direct is something that's worth it for you to do. For me, it was, because it cuts down on orders I have to do, and it helps me move some of that inventory that I mentioned earlier that just kind of sits here and collects dust, and otherwise would take even longer to move. So that's something you got to really ask the question early on. Do I want to sell singles and focus on not moving so much volume, or do I want to focus on the volume and go after the bulk and go after the 20 and 30 Xing on my on cards? And that's kind of why I landed on selling bulk. Not saying I don't sell singles. If there's a deal to be made and somebody's got a collection and we can come to an agreement on a price, then I always usually pick it up. But I try to stick towards bulk, so I guess I'll use this moment as a self-plug. Do me a favor, if you have any bulk you're looking to sell for a reasonable price, I think right now I pay $17 per 1,000 for mixed bulk. Let me know. Feel free to shoot me an email. I have my contact info on this channel, and maybe we can make a deal happen, and we can get it all shipped out. So moving on to number 6, which actually is talking about what I just referenced, getting inventory. Can you get inventory? That's probably one of the biggest questions that I see floating around online, but it's also one of the most common questions that I see answered online. Is people ask, where do I get bulk from? Well, it really depends what kind of selling you want to do. If you want to sell singles, either look around on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, look around on different Pokemon groups, look around on Twitter, look around on OfferUp. All those are good places to buy singles and collections and bulk, but they're really good for singles and stuff. Now, if you're looking to buy bulk, once again, another good place, Facebook. I buy a lot of stuff on OfferUp. I advertise on Craigslist, and I advertise a couple other ways. A really good way to advertise, and I mean, you usually have to give them a little cut, but I actually have a card shop near me that I offer to pay them about 3 cents. I think the last time I bought cards off of him, it was 3 cents per 1,000. Sorry, not 3 cents, $3 per 1,000 is what I pay him for the bulk that comes through his store, and then I buy it off of him. So if you can make a good deal with a card shop where they make a little off the top for not really doing anything besides taking in some bulk for you, you might be able to actually find a really good deal locally. If nobody is buying bulk, there might be a market where you can get it really cheap. So that's one of the ways that I use, and I actually get a steady flow of bulk that way. It's just all on if you can get inventory. So if you can't really get inventory, like a lot of inventory, like bulk, then maybe bulk isn't the way that you should go. Maybe you should go the single route. This kind of cycles into one of the last things that I had to talk about, is if you really don't have time to find it, do you have time to find it, all of this inventory? And if you don't have time to source inventory, then maybe running a full-scale Pokemon business isn't really your cup of tea. Maybe it really is you like to rip some packs, you rip a booster box out of every paycheck, or you rip a booster box every month, and you get, you know, your 300 and some cards, and you're just looking every couple months to move your bulk, or looking to move some doubles or triples that you get, your holos and reverse holos and rares and stuff. And that's fine too. That's absolutely fine. You can sign up for Tcgplayer or eBay. I like to sell cheaper cards on Tcgplayer. Anything worth more than, let's say, $5 will get listed to eBay, and everything else gets listed to Tcgplayer. But that's something that you can absolutely do. You can just go out of your collection, and then what that allows you to do is cycle your collection dollars back into your collection. You can then buy other cards that you don't have. You can complete some sets, and it's a win-win for everybody around. So those are my big tips that I would offer to people if they were going to tell me that they were considering opening a card shop online, or at least just selling some cards online. Now, if this video is something that you all liked and you're still watching at this point, let me know that you want to know more stuff, because I learned a lot. It's definitely something that you learn as you go. You learn how to do things, and you learn not how to do things. And I have a lot of those instances that I could share with you guys. So thank you all for listening. Hit that thumbs up button, like I said, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.